Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Belvin with System Surveyor, and I would like to welcome you all and thank you for joining us today for another new user webinar. Just a few housekeeping items to kick things off. Please note that we have had a great response to today's webinar, so our participants are placed on mute. However, at any time during the session, please feel free to use the Q&A icon in the Zoom webinar interface, and we will address those questions throughout and at the end of the session. Please note as well that we are recording this webinar and we'll be sending it out typically by the end of the day. So if you would like to review this again or share it with a colleague, you can certainly do that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our customer support team lead, Paul Kurz.
Hey, thanks, Michael. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I'm just going to go over a couple of things here. So for our agenda for today, we're going to get started on the mobile tablet app. Going to show you a couple things and kind of the basic workflow for using the tablet app to create surveys. Then we're going to switch over to the web browser, kind of show you the integration between the two, and then some additional features and finish it out on the web browser there, as well as showing you how to run reports for collaboration and add guest users for the same. And then, as Michael said, we'll hit the Q&A after that. So first off, just a quick little rundown about System Surveyor. So what is System Surveyor? System Surveyor is the leading software platform for site surveys, system designs, and lifecycle management. So it is a cloud-based web application that's used in conjunction with a companion mobile tablet app. So they work sync from field to office, back and forth between the two. We have a little diagram that shows you how it works a little bit. So you have your, on the left here, you have people using the iPad. So you're going to bring that out to the field remote on the customer site. You can do all of that work offline without connection to Wi-Fi. Once you get connected to Wi-Fi, you'll sync it up to the cloud, and we use AWS, Amazon Web Services, for our cloud service. And then once that's synced up to the cloud, you can access it from the tablet as well as from the website back at the office or from home. So it's kind of a back and forth workflow there. And with that, let me go ahead and switch over to the tablet really quick. 1 second. All right, here we go. All right, so you should be seeing my Zoom, or sorry, my System Surveyor. Do you see that, Michael?
I do. Yep.
Awesome, great. So this is the System Surveyor tablet app. This is going to be where you're going to, when you first log in, you're going to see this is what we call the site list or the workbench. We can kind of use those two interchangeably. This is going to be a list of all of your sites. Sites are basically, you could consider them almost a folder for your surveys and your floor plans to live in. Some people name these by customer, some people name them by location. You can, as you can see here, CVHS, so you can do folders and put those inside of those, put the sites inside of folders and group them that way. But it's kind of an organizational tool for you to use however you works best for you and your organization. You'll notice at the top there's two different tabs. You have a favorites tab and then an all sites tab. So if you are a member of a team, multiple teams, or if your team, say, has many different users with all sorts of different sites, you can find all of those sites in the All Sites tab, but they won't necessarily be added to your favorites or to your workbench by default. You can actually go in and add them, and basically that's a way to cut down on the amount of sites you have to scroll through in case there's only a couple that you want. In order to add a favorite, you can go to, we can actually do a search here. So let's go for, I know there's an ISC West one here. So from when we were out in ISC West, I have this site here at the top there. You'll see there's a little star to the right of that. If I click that star and then go over back to my favorites, you'll see that it's now in my favorites there at the very top. And if I want to remove it from my favorites, I just click the star. It's going to ask me if I want to remove the site from favorites, and I will do that. So one of the first things you'll want to do when you are on site, and a lot of people do this from the office, but you can do this from the tablet as well, is you'll want to create your site. So in order to create a site, you click this blue plus at the bottom right there, click new site. You'll put in the site information. So let's just say NU webinar. And then what's today? The 14th. So I'll say 5/14. And then you can put in the address if you'd like and other location information, city, state, postal code, things like that. You can also add a site label, which helps kind of group them by label. And then you can also choose which team you want to put this on. So if you're part of multiple teams, you'll definitely want to check this and make sure that you're putting it on the correct team. So for this, I want to put this on System Surveyor Demo. So I click on Demo there, and I can also choose which folder I want to put it into if I want to do that. But everything looks good here. I'll go ahead and push OK. And that is going to take us to the site dashboard. So right now you'll see there's 0 surveys. There's nothing in here. If you want to edit the information, you'll click Edit Info on the left. You can make changes there. But if you want to add a survey and add your floor plan and things like that, you'll click on the blue plus bottom right, click New Survey, and you have a couple of options on how you want to create a survey. So on the tablet, it's a little bit different on the web, but the tablet, you have the options to choose it from your photo gallery or local files. You can take a photo with your device camera. So if you have something like a fire escape plan, or if it's like a physical copy of the floor plan, you don't have a digital copy, you can take a picture of it with the camera. You can also use the satellite Google Maps integration to create a satellite floor plan. It's great for exteriors, and I'll show you that a little bit later on the web. And then Quick Start is just a blank canvas if you want to just either don't have a floor plan yet, or you just want to test it out, you can do it from the Quick Start. But I'll go ahead and choose Photo Gallery here, and I'll choose my floor plan here. So here's my floor plan. This first screen is going to be cropping it. So you can change the crop if you want to only have a certain section of it, or you can have the full thing. I think that looks best here with the full thing. You can also use these buttons on the right to rotate it. So if you want to change the orientation, you can do that there. But I'll go ahead and click Next. This is going to be how you set your scale. So this is a very important part of the process for getting things like cable run measurements or distances for your cameras, things like that. The range is all going to be dependent on the scale that you set here. So I can go ahead and zoom in a little bit. You'll see that there is this blue line. This is going to be the scale measurement here. And the good thing about this floor plan is it actually has measurements for actually on the floor plan. But what you could do is you can either take physical measurements while you're on location, or use something like a door frame where you have a rough estimate about how wide a door frame is. Maybe it's about 2 feet, 2.5 feet. But I have this entrance here, which I can use. It's about 5 feet 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and drag the scale measurer here. So that way it lines up with the doorway. There we go. And then at the top, you'll see where you can set your distance, either in feet and meters. I'll go ahead and choose 5 feet here. And then the other option is for your element icon size. So you can see these kind of test elements up at the top, which will kind of just show you a rough estimate of the size. Maybe I want to make them a little bigger, so I'll move it up to 28. And you can see that does change there, but everything looks good to me. So I'll click on Next. And then it's going to ask to name the survey and give the extra information here. So I'll go ahead and name this Interior Floor 1. And all this address, city, state, zip information, that'll be autofilled depending on the site, if you put that in for the site. But right now it's blank because I didn't put that in there. But I'll go ahead and click Next. And now we are on the edit screen. So I'll go ahead and show you just kind of the simple rundown of the basic kind of functions of editing a survey here. So on the left, you'll see a couple of different drop downs. It says add element. So you'll see these are the different system types, things like video, surveillance, access control, all the way down to healthcare. And these can be adjusted based on your team's needs. So you can take some away or add different ones, add ones back rather. If you need to. If you don't use fire alarm or anything related to fire alarms, you can take that away, things like that. But these are each a drop down, so you can click on the drop down here. And I have a fixed camera. But say I wanted to find an element in here, instead of having to search through and scroll through this whole list, I can actually search for it. So if I want to just put in camera, this will give me only the camera options, the 3 camera options and video surveillance there. But otherwise, you can scroll through this list here. In order to add an icon, an element to the survey, you'll just push on it and drag it. So I'm dragging it with my finger here, and I'll place it in the reception area here. So once I put that down, you'll see this is a camera, so it has an area of coverage. That's what that cone is, that yellow cone. Not all elements will have that, but not only cameras have that as well. So things like motion detectors, smoke detectors, things like that, they might have a Wi-Fi range, things like that have an area of coverage as well as cameras. So let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see better. So you'll notice that it has two different wedges on the sides of the AOC there, and then that cross-shaped arrows at the top. So using that cross-shaped arrow is how you'll change the direction. So I want it to orient this way. And then these wedge-shaped ones is how you'll change the angle. So if you want it to be a wider angle, you'll choose that there. And then use this to kind of move around the range. So you can move that back and forth here. You can also manually set the angle in the upper left here. There is this angle up here at the top. You'll see you can choose default angles, 90 degrees, things like that, as well as set in your range manually if you like. But I'll go ahead and just do that there. And once I'm done with that, you'll see after you exit out of the AOC bar, this bar here will pop up. This is going to be how you'll enter the information. If you click this, you click that pencil and lines button there, it'll bring up the element info. This will be where you put in all of your information, like the descriptive label, device type, things like that. Room location, everything like that, install status. The next button is the camera, and I'll go ahead and click on that and show you how to take a picture here. So when I click on the camera, it's going to open up the camera on my device. I'll go ahead and take a photo here. Maybe this will be the location for the camera, anything like that, and it will actually attach to the device, to the icon in the element details here. After you take a photo, you'll be prompted if you want to drag and drop the element itself on there to kind of show where it's going to be located. And you can also mark it up with different annotations if you want to maybe circle it, things like that. Once I click done, it will process it and add that image to the device. You'll see on the left, files and photos. It's showing up there, and you can click on it and take a look at it as well and make edits there if you'd like. So I will go ahead and let's add another
Hey,
photo.
Paul,
Yes.
just maybe a relevant question just while you're on this screen. We do have a question about opacity settings for the AOC. That
Yes.
might be worth demonstrating.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and actually accidentally added a boundary there. There we go. Let me remove that there. Yeah, so let me go ahead and I'll just adjust this here so that way you can see. And we'll show you off the boundaries on the website. It's a little easier to see. But if you go to the AOC settings here, oops, let me get rid of that thing. Actually, it'll be easier to show in the element details. So in the element details, if you scroll down, you can see there's the status here, so you can actually change the status on that. Is the AOC? Oh, I'm thinking of a different thing. There it is, on the color. So you click on the color here, and you'll see this 50% there. When you want to change the color, you can actually change the opacity of that using that setting there. And it's a little bit, it might be a little bit easier to see because you can see my cursor on the web. But what I'm doing is I'm clicking on the element. You'll see this little AOC angle. It's the fourth button over. And then click on that color, and that's how you can change the opacity there.
That's perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. So I'll go ahead and let's add another photo here. Let's do a different location that time. And we'll just add one more photo there. All right, so now that I've kind of had a good start on this survey, I'll go ahead and click save at the very top. So it'll save it to my device. And then I'll go ahead and finish it off on the web. So in order to get that over to the cloud to sync it, I'll go ahead and click upload when you're on this site dashboard. You'll see upload. If you have auto sync turned on, which is a feature that you can turn on to automatically sync, instead of having to click upload manually, you can upload those. It'll automatically start uploading as soon as you save it, as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi. But you'll see that it actually went through the sync process and added everything. So you should now be able to, I'll be able to see that on the web. And before I switch over, let me go ahead and go through a couple things on the tablet app in the account settings. So in the very upper right, you'll see this account drop down. There's a few different things in the device options I wanted to point out. So that auto sync at the very top, you can turn that on or off. Like I said, auto sync will automatically sync your surveys as soon as you connect to Wi-Fi once it's saved. So if you have, you don't want to go through and click multiple times, different uploads or things like that, you can turn that on or off. There's a sync over Wi-Fi option, which will only allow syncing if you have Wi-Fi connected, as opposed to if you have cellular data. Sometimes we found that if people are uploading something and maybe they're in a spotty cell connection where the connection might drop, things like that, it could cause data loss, things like that. So that option is available. And we definitely recommend to have that turned on if you have a tablet that is cell enabled. And then we also have the option to save photo to camera roll. So that will basically save every photo that you take inside System Surveyor will be saved to your device and labeled so that way you can have a good idea, a good record of all the photos that you have in case you need to reattach them or send them out later. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing here. As soon as I'm done, there we go. All right, and now I'm going to move over to our web portal. One second while I do that. All right, are you seeing my System Surveyor web?
I sure am.
Awesome, awesome. Whoops, sorry, my screen went away. There we go. All right, so let me go ahead and refresh. So you'll see, once I refresh there, you'll see this new user webinar, which we created on the tablet, is now added to my site list on the web. On the web, it's a little different. Just to show you on the site list, you don't have the all sites right away. What's actually going to be located inside the library. When you click library, that's where you'll see all the sites for your certain site list. So everything on this System Surveyor demo site list is in the library here. And in order to toggle it on and off, you'll just click this circle and that'll check will fill in and unfill when you want to do that. And you don't have the whole list of site lists. You can actually switch between the different site lists on the web using this site list here. So that's pretty useful. Like I said, especially if you're a guest user and you have your own team, you might need to switch between your different guest accesses through the site list here. So if you log in and you don't see the site that you need, then it might be worth checking out the site list. It might be on the wrong site list there. But I'll go ahead and click on the new user webinar here. And that is going to take us into our site dashboard for the web. A couple of things to go over here. On the left side, you'll see this is the information that you can edit just like you saw on the tablet. Contacts is something we'll get into a little bit later when we talk about guest users, but this is going to be where you'll add guest users, and we'll go over what guest users are and how to add them, like I said, after we finish up the demo here. You have Teams permissions, which you can limit kind of who has access to your sites, depending on user or level, things like that. And then in the upper right, you have the different options to create a new folder for this site. Release all edits will release all the edits for your surveys, which I'll show you what that's about in a little bit here. And then report is kind of our older reporting method, which is how you'll run the PDFs. And like I said, once again, this is something that we'll go over in just a second. But I'll go ahead and click right now into the survey that we created. And this is going to open up our editor here. So it's looking pretty similar to the what you just saw on the tablet. Same kind of interface and layout. On the left, you still have all your elements and things like that, drawing tools, etc., things like that. One thing that you won't have noticed probably is the favorite elements, which is on the web only right now. And it's actually a feature coming soon to our scale users. So if you're on the scale plan, I think it's going to be out, what are we saying, next week, Michael, I think?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so we're working on that. So that is a way to actually, instead of searching or adding elements in here, you can actually right click it and add it to your favorites. And so you can add all sorts of different ones. So if you want to have doors and things like that. So that way you don't have to go through each of those drop downs. So it's something we're really excited about. I know a lot of A lot of users really wanted that feature, so we're happy to be able to bring that to you guys. But just a little sneak preview to show you what's coming up. But it's the same functionality on the web as well. So you just click and drag, and you can drag the camera onto the floor plan here and use the same arrows to move around the range and the angle as well. And it's the same options up at the top there to change the opacity, like we said, showed before, and you can change the color here as well if you want to make it purple or yellow, things like that. One thing that I wanted to show you was the different kind of different element types. So not just obviously we have cameras that have their AOC and things like that, but you have things like doors. So if you wanted to put a door down here, it doesn't have an AOC, but it is an element the same. You might notice that it looks a little different. It's kind of got a little hexagon shape. That means that it is actually a container. So as you might be aware, I'm sure you're aware that doors are not just the actual physical door. They have other components to them, things like card readers, things like position switches, stuff like that. So we wanted to be able to represent that without kind of cluttering up the floor plan here. So you can actually put elements such as card readers inside of containers here. So you go ahead and click on, say we have card reader, you want us to put a card reader in this door. When you hover over it, you'll see that it actually has like this big green square around it. And when I let go, it actually will drop it inside of that door there. So you'll see it has this one, meaning that it has one element inside of it. If I click on it and then click that one, you'll see that it has that reader. And if I want to drag it out and put it on the floor plan, I can do that there as well. If I go and open up the element details, which you can do by clicking either clicking this pencil button here, or if I am on the floor plan, I can go to element info on the left and then click on the element and it will go back and forth. So if I want to choose all the element info for different elements, I can click back and forth between them. But if I open up the element info for this door, there's a drop down up here which will show the different reader. So this is the reader's information. So you can choose if the card readers model and manufacturer, things like that, separately from the door itself. So it's pretty cool. A good way to kind of create different packages here. So I can let's put in a motion detector. No, maybe not a motion detector. How about electric strike? We'll put that in there. So you can see you can put in an almost unlimited number of sub-elements into that one door. Another thing I wanted to show is the different kind of element, which would be cable paths. So I mentioned before, when you set that scale, it's important to keep track of measurements for cable runs. And this is going to be how you'll do those cable runs. So under the infrastructure tab, you have two different cable paths. So you have the standard cable path, which is available to all our users. And then the flex cable path is available to users on the scale plan or higher. So flex cable path, I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like here. So when you drag and drop, it's an element just like any other. You'll put that on the floor plan, and this is going to let you kind of make your own sort of angles and more customize the specific run that you want to do. And you can connect them to two different elements. So if I wanted to have this connected, let's go and do a server here. If I want to have a server in the server room over here, and I wanted to connect this server to this camera, I can actually click this and you'll see that it kind of pops up that square and I can actually attach them so these two elements are now attached by that cable run. And then I can kind of customize how that run goes specifically. So that way you can get an accurate measurement of your information. Like I said, this is an element just like any other. So it does have element info and element details here as well. One thing I want to call out for specific to cable paths is the functional tab here. So this is how you're going to add your actual cable types. You can add multiple different cable types to one run. So if you have a few different kind of cables that run along the same path, you don't have to have two different cable paths and kind of make it harder to read. You can actually just have them on one path. So you can have an HDMI here, and you can choose, the A side term, Z side term, and then you can also add something like a Cat5 that will connect these two elements. So when you go and run your report, you'll see that actually you can see the total cable length here. Might be a little bit. Let me try and zoom in here. Total cable length here is 24.5, which is coming from that scale that we set in the beginning here. So just a little bit about cable paths there. One thing also I wanted to point out was well, one thing, let me show you how to duplicate elements. So instead of having to have this door, recreate this door every single time, put a door down, put the two elements inside of it. If it's going to be all the same door across this whole hallway, if you click on the element, you'll see this kind of copy button here. And let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see better. This copy button here, when I click that, it'll actually duplicate the element, the door, and all of the sub elements inside there. And you can do that with any element. So I can place that here, duplicate it, place that there. So it's a good way to kind of save time, especially if you have the same element and package going across the floor plan. Especially if, with cameras too, if you have the same camera device type in multiple locations, you can click the copy button there and move the camera to where you want it to go there. And we'll just have that angled to the back there. All right, let me zoom back out. A little bit easier to read there. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to show here too would be element profiles. So we have the ability to create element profiles as well as import element profiles from our manufacturer partners, people like Hanwha, Verkada, different partners that you'll see on the partner page. We'll show you that at the end here. But what is an element profile? I should start with. Well, an element profile is essentially, you could think of it as an element template. So it's a way to quickly apply the information specific to an actual camera model or an actual device model to an element. Instead of having to go through here and fill out all this information one by one, you can actually go to element profile. Say we wanted to add, we only have Hanwha, it looks like, on here, but you can add multiple different kinds of manufacturers. But if you see that if I click on this PNB A9001, it's going to change the information here. So you'll see that it has the manufacturer, the model number, and I can make adjustments to that as well if I want to. And it's going to add different kinds of attachments, things like that. These are spec sheets. You can create all this stuff on your own, or like I said, import that from our manufacturer partners as well. So it's all adjustable, all customizable. And when you save an element profile, it's saved to your team, so other team members can use it. Guest users can use it for the surveys that they're on for your team, things like that. So if you have a catalog of devices that your organization uses, and you can add those as element profiles and save them. So I've added that there. Another cool thing about that is you can use it with packages. So you want to have an element profile that has this, exterior door or something like that, then it will actually automatically have the different sub elements included as well. So you can save all of those as an element profile without having to add each of the sub elements and things like that. One more thing I will show you are the annotations or drawing tools. Showed you a little bit of a preview of that on the tablet, but on the left side you have drawing tools, which is going to be how you're going to mark up the survey. If you want to add text, things like I can add a text box, and maybe that just says no cameras, something like that. A note that you want to have actually visible on the floor plan, and you can change the font color and size and things like that. Or you can add shapes if you want to, circle maybe this reception area. You can do that as well. And one of the cool things that we've recently added was the area coverage boundaries. So no longer will this camera here go through the walls. You can actually click on this button here for boundaries. And if I zoom in a little bit here, I can actually create a wall that will set of walls that will actually cut off the coverage for that camera. So say I wanted to have that wall go all the way up here. So now it's more shaped like what you would actually see in the real world. It's not going to go through the walls and things like that. So a great thing to show and visualize for customers, things like that. And with our layering tool up here, you can actually turn them visibly off. So you'll have the boundaries still set up. Oops. But it will not show that big orange line, so it's a lot more cleaner look for customers, especially, and a lot more conveys the actual situation better. And you have other options to do for filters as well if you want to turn off your drawings and things like that, or you want to disable entire system types. If I want to just take a look at the survey without access control, I can turn those off as well here. So that's a great tool to use. I'll go ahead and return to my layout here. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Um, Let me see. So one thing I wanted yes, one thing I wanted to point out was the editor. So there can only be one editor at a time per survey. So right now I'm the editor, but if while I'm the editor, if Michael say he was to go to the survey here on his side, he wouldn't be able to make any edits until I'm done as the editor and give up my edit here. So I'll go ahead and click save just to show you when I click done editing. Oh, I prompt me to save again. I'll go ahead and do that. And now click done editing. Oops, got to re-sign in here. Sorry about that. If you signed in for too long, like I have been, probably signed in over the weekend, it's going to ask you to sign back in again. There we go. Oops. All right. So that's another thing. Make sure that you have, make sure that you have your sign-ins be sign in and out frequently so that way you don't lose the saves like I did here. So I clicked save, and unfortunately, because my sign-in timed out, I lost all those edits that I made there. But that's okay. We can power on through. Just make sure you check that on your side, guys. Um, but what I wanted to show you here was I clicked on editing, and it says it right here at the top. I'll be the editor here. Go away thing. You'll see, there we go. Editor, Paul Kurz. I can release the edit. Now that the editor is none, Michael can come in and click on claim edit, and then he can make his changes here on his side. So that is one thing that I wanted to make clear. So that way, if multiple people can't edit the survey at the same time, you're not wondering why it won't let you edit if you're not the editor there. So one thing I want to show here, go back into the survey. Let me re-add one other element here, kind of give it a little pizzazz. I'll go ahead and add that, and then I'll save. It's going to work this time. There we go. If you click on the three dots up here in the upper right, you'll see that there's a couple different options here. So you have reports, which are, I'll show you in just a second, are going to be your PDF reports that you can run for the survey, as well as Excel reports. Send a link is a good way to collaborate with people who don't have System Surveyor or outside of your organization, things like that. This is going to actually create I'll just go ahead and click on them there. You can send them an email link with an expiration date on the email and expiration date rather for their access. It'll send them an email link, which they'll get a little passcode, and then they'll put the passcode in, and then be able to see the survey in a read-only format. So they won't be able to make edits, but they can take a look at the survey there on the website live. It's a different alternative to reports. You can import and export the data to Excel. That's great if you want to make quick, if you have like 100 devices and you want to make quick edits to multiple ones, you can export it to Excel, make the changes in Excel, and then import that into the survey. If you want to change the scale or the crop or even replace the floor plan for your survey, you can do that with these options here. And then you can also change the icon size with this slider, as well as the global AOC transparency. So you want to change the transparency for all the devices on there. You can do that from here, and you have the budget margin as well if you want to change the margin. Which you can get into budget estimator, which I can show you in just a second. You can change that from here.
And Paul,
But
just while you
yeah.
have that tab open, actually, we did have
Mhm.
a couple questions. One about resetting the scale after the floor plan has already been set, and also replacing floor plans. So,
Mhm.
yeah, if you just want to point those out as well.
Yeah, so if you to reset the scale, you just click set scale, and then you can change it if you wanted to. I'll just do the same one again here, but if you want to change that, you can see this is actually what the current measurement is, and you can actually change it to be 5 and or whatever you want it to be there. And then that'll change the scale, and then replacing the floor plan. If you want to click replace floor plan, you can replace it with a local file or satellite image on the web as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go ahead and let me just make another save here just to be safe. I'll go back out to the site level, and I just want to show you quickly the creating a new survey on the web. I kind of showed you these options before. Local files, if you have a digital version saved to your computer, you can use local files there. And we'll click on satellite image just to show you kind of what that looks like here. So you can search for where you want to go. I'll go for Madison Square Garden. I'm rooting for the Knicks right now because the Bucks got knocked out, but that's okay. And you can set the level of zoom if you want it to be kind of just the front area here. I'll click next, and you can crop it based on what you want. If you want to crop out kind of the little bit of the side stuff there, just so it's a little bit more in focus, you can do that. And an important thing to note with the scale for the satellite images, that is automatically set based on that satellite zoom. So you'll see it automatically says 127 feet. So that is going to be automatically set based off of the level of zoom for this satellite image. So you don't have to even change the scale at all when you're using satellite images. So I'll just click next there. And then I can change this exterior. So similar, same process as before with the other survey and creating it on the tablet, things like that. So now we have our exterior. So we can put cameras on the front here, things like that. So I'll go ahead and save. And we're going to go back out here. So I want to show you a couple of different collaboration options here. On the site level, as I said before, this contacts is going to be how you'll add any guest users. So what a guest user is it's essentially you have your team members and users who are people that you are in your organization generally. They have a license. You have like maybe you have 3 different seats for our team, and I add Michael as one, and then me as one, and then we'll have Laura as the third person. So those are all going to be full team members. They can create sites and have access to edits and things like that, depending on their, of course, on their admin rights and things like that, which I'll show you in a second. But if you want to add somebody to just one site, say I wanted to add Michael to just this site here as an editor, and he doesn't have access. I don't want him to have access to any of the other sites that are on my workbench. I can do that by adding him as a guest user. So when you add a guest user, you'll click this little pencil here. You'll click new. I'll put in Michael's information here. And then the next important thing is the address. I'm not sure if you're just Michael at, it doesn't matter, but I'll just do a little shorthand here.
Yeah, Michael at systemsurveyor.com, but yeah,
Yeah,
that works.
so yeah, say that's his email address. I want to click invite as guest. So that way it's telling them, hey, I want to invite this person as a guest. I can give them edit or read only permission. So read only, they can look at the sites and the surveys, but they can't make any edits. Obviously, edit you can. And then I can set the expiration date. You can either do these preset ones or add a custom expiration date and to have it be for a couple months out or something like that. And when I click add, it won't work for this because I don't think this is even a right email address. But once you do click add, it will send that person an email. It'll say, hey, whoever Paul wants to invite you as a guest user to their site. And then they'll be prompted to either create a free account, which they can do if they don't have an account, or if they do have an account, they can just click the link and it will automatically, it'll prompt them to log in, and then they'll be added to the site. So when they go out to their site list here, they'll see System Surveyor demo and it'll say guest next to it. So they know that that's the one, and they'll just have the sites that they have access to on here. One thing to note is that the guest, you can have an unlimited amount of guest users on your team, but each specific guest user can only be on 5 sites or 10 sites at a time, depending on your subscription level. So 5 sites for scale, 10 for enterprise or above. And that will be a limit. So that way, let's say I added Michael to 5 sites already. I want to add him to the 6th one. When I go and try and add him, it'll say, oh, he's reached the amount of sites that he can be on. So I'll have to remove him from one or add him wait for the expiration to add him to that 6th one. So you can only be on 5 at a time. But I could have 20 different guest users on a single site. So that's kind of just that's the limitation for guest users as far as permissions go, things like that. Another collaboration thing I wanted to show you. Let me go back in. Oops, clicked the wrong thing. I want to go back in and show you the reports here. So we have our I guess kind of classic reporting in this reports here, but I want to show you our new reporting. So if you go back into the survey here and you click on that 3 dots and then click reports, this is our 2.0 reporting. So we have a couple of different options here. You have the elements report, which is going to be a breakdown of all the different elements. Let me go and do the other survey so you can see it a little bit better really quick. I want to show you kind of how it breaks those things down. So we'll change a couple things there, make that save, and then we'll go to reports. Okay, so we have our elements here. We have all obviously the four different elements that we have on there, broken down by system type. You have the option to actually change these columns on this report type. So if you want to have included the installation status, things like that, you can add that so that way it'll show on here. And you can also change kind of the order of those as well. And that's going to affect the export. So when you go to click export, you export as a PDF or Excel. So if you export as an Excel, it'll have those as the columns there. Another one is the bill of materials, which is going to be kind of more of a preset one, which will show you the price. I didn't have any price put in here, but it will show you the price. And then depending on your labor hours, things like that, it'll show you the total price there, as well as the model and manufacturer. The layout is another popular one that is going to show you just obviously the layout. A couple different options here. If you click the cog on the upper left, you can add a company logo as well as a legend, and you can sort that by model number, things like that. So it'll add a legend to the top here. If you have different colors, so say there's, each of these cameras is a different color, it'll break those out by color as well. Everything's just yellow here, so you won't be able to see that. But if you do add them as a different color, it'll be added there. And once again, you can export that as a PDF and send that out. You have a cable path report. I didn't add any cable paths, but would be where you would see that. And then we just added the photo tour here in our most recent update. So this is how you'll get, you can have a PDF of all of the different photos attached to the floor plan here. So a little harder to see on this here because you want to choose the size. So the cog here, you choose the different size and it'll actually lay it out a little bit better. It'll look a lot better on the export than it does on the preview there, but it'll also show you the different, information that you want to have on these photos. So yeah, you can, when you export those PDFs, obviously you send those out to customers, things like that. It's another great and often used tool. So I'll go back out and then we'll just finish up really quick with a few of the team settings here. So on your site list, on the upper left, you'll have an avatar. Mine's just the basic person, but you can change your avatar here. And you'll click on Manage Teams. So if you are an account admin or a team admin, you'll have a lot of options under here. So on the left side, you'll have users, which is going to be how you'll add and manage your users here. So if I wanted to invite a user, I'll just click Invite, put in their email, and then give them a role. So a team member is somebody who has basic access that can create sites and make edits and things like that. Team member with InfoMask is, I didn't show you InfoMask, but InfoMask is for things like IP addresses and certain like sensitive data. You can actually limit who has access to that and who can input that information with this team member with InfoMask. A team admin is someone who can make changes to the team settings, which is like adding element profiles, changing system types, and adding users. And then the account admin is someone who can make all those changes as well as account changes with billing, things like that, create new teams, etc. So when you add a new user, most of the time you'll probably be adding a team member or team admin or an account admin if that's what you want to do. So you can add those from the invite here. You can also manage your guest users. You can see which guest users are added to which sites, things like that, and the expiration date. And on the user list here, this enabled button is if you click this on or off, it will actually disable the user. So if there's someone who no longer works with the company or you don't want to have them give them access, change the access to someone else, things like that, you can disable that person here. So click that and it'll disable them and you can also enable them there. Element profile on the left, this is how you can manage your element profiles. We have a deep dive webinar and several videos dedicated to that, so I won't go too in depth, but when you click on your different elements, this is how you'll export or import that information, especially handy if you are getting your element profiles from our manufacturer partners. This will be where you import those as well. And then this is what I was saying before with system types. System types you can turn off if you never use building management. You can turn that off for your team so it doesn't come up in the drop downs as well. Budget estimator is something that we like to highlight for the webinar here too. This is how you'll get your prices and the budget margin. So right now you'll have the minimum maximum budget range for 20%, and this is kind of the calculation for how it works, as well as this is where you'll adjust your labor rate. So when you go and see your budget estimator, you're going to have a range between a certain amount, 20% more, 20% less of the device price, things like that. So that's where you'll make those adjustments there. And then a couple of different team settings. You can choose your unit of measurements, either imperial or metric. And one thing I wanted to show too on the users tab, I forgot to show, is the company logo. So if you want to add your company logo or change it, you can do that by clicking this pencil here, and then you can drag and drop that or upload that image, and it will show up on your reports and things like that. All right, I will go ahead and turn it over with questions. I think that covers everything I wanted to show.
All right. So yeah, we got a good amount of questions just answered within the Q&A here, but there are some outstanding as well. Most of them would have to do with having a survey open. So
Yeah,
if you wouldn't mind opening a survey.
I'll go back to the webinar one here.
Awesome. This first one is, I think it's more tablet app related, but the function is the same on web. So they're just wondering how you would drag pictures from the iPad picture library to an element. And I think they just want to see attaching a photo that you're not taking live.
Yeah, so you can, I can just, so if you go to your elements, you know what? Yeah, I can switch over to the iPad just to show it a little bit better.
Oh, okay.
It'll probably be easier to show on the iPad. Let's see. There we go. All right. Oops. Sorry, switch back. There we go. So let me just download this here. So if you click on the element here, and if you're not taking a camera, a live picture, when you go to your element info, you'll see files and photos at the top, and you'll click on the third option there, which will let you kind of choose a camera from your device library. So you'll click in it and add it, things like that. So pretty simple. So it is the same as kind of on the web, but just wanted to show you in case it was a little bit different. So that's how you do that.
Cool. Okay. And we have a few more here that have rolled in. One from Joe asking if we can cover the status of elements, and are there any plans to add more drop-down options for installation status?
Yeah, so the status for elements, it's another one of, you can change it actually from this bar here. As soon as you click on an element, you'll see proposed, that's the status. We can also change the installation status on the left here. So you'll have the different options in place to be replaced, upgraded, removed. As far as newer options, I don't know of any specific plans that we have, but I'm happy to kind of bring that up with the product team and relay your feedback there.
Awesome. Okay, this one's from Marcus. He's asking if you change to fixed color, but it's the same fixed camera, will it list separately? I think he might be asking if you change the element icon color, will it show, will it list separately?
Yeah, so yes, I'll show that right now. So if I go to the reports, I change that one to kind of a burgundy color. If I go to my layout and do my
and the legend
here.
Yeah,
So okay, so you'll see that. Let me zoom in a little bit. Kind of hard to see. There we go. So you'll see that this red one is now separated out from these other two yellow ones. So that wasn't an option before in our old, and it's not an option in our classic reporting, but it is an option on our newer reporting here. So
awesome. Okay, we have another one. asking to show reporting with a door container breakdown. I think just listing a container element and then the sub elements within it within a report.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just add a couple of things to this one here. And making sure to save. I don't want to lose everything again. Reports. And then you'll have, so you can do bill of materials. Well, there's a way to break it down by container type. Um, Associated container. Here we go. So this will show you, and actually if I can move it over a little bit more so it's more prominent. So if I move this over to the top, maybe after descriptive, whoops, after descriptive label. I want to do that. Okay, let's do after manufacturer. So you'll see associated container here. So it'll say, hang on, maybe a little bit better if I do element ID as well. Maybe that go up a little bit finicky here. There we go. So here's the element ID and the associated container. So your 1DR001, that is obviously associated with these with this 1DR here. So you can see that association there. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think it does. Okay. We've got a question here about adding custom icons. So if
Mhm.
we could address that as well.
Yeah, so there's not currently a way to add custom icons, and it's something that we really want to do in the future. We get asked that a lot, but right now there's not a way. It's kind of a technical limitation, honestly, with how it's set up right now. But we hope to have that in the future. We don't have any immediate plans to implement that right now. What I can say though is with the if there is an element icon that you don't see, obviously let us know and we can look into adding new ones in the future. But what I know a lot of people do is they'll use something like a general component, which kind of just has this plus sign, and then use the element details to kind of mark out the information. So you can do descriptive label. Say there's I don't know, a booby trap. There's no booby trap element, but you can add that as a descriptive label, something like that, um, on there. That's what a lot of people do if there is an element that's missing.
Perfect. Yeah, we certainly see that a lot. Okay, we just have a few more here. Is there a limit to the number of guests that you can have, and can you choose what a guest can see?
There is not a limit to the amount of guests you have. So I could have 100 different guest users. The limit is on one particular guest user. So if I was added as a guest user, I could only be added to 5 sites, or let's just say 5 sites for now. If it's 10 if you're on enterprise or higher, but 5 sites for scale. And then I could be added to 5 different sites. So I could go in here and see 5 different sites. But as soon as somebody wants to add me to a sixth site, that's where you reach the limit, and I'll have to be removed from that other site, from one of the other sites. But you can have an unlimited number of guest users. So I could have, 100 different guest users on one site, but I couldn't have them all on 5 different sites or on 5 sites, if that makes sense. Um, what was the second part of the question?
And can you adjust what the guest users can see?
Right. Yeah. So there isn't a specific way to adjust what they can see particularly. Once they're added to the site, they're able to see all of the surveys on here. They can't create surveys. You can obviously limit the type of permission they have is to read only. But there isn't a way to limit what they can see specifically. That would be more of something that you probably want to use a report for. So you can kind of control what's added and things like that.
So, okay, is there an inactivity warning or an auto logout function?
I'm trying to think there. I don't believe there is on the new editor an inactivity warning, but there was one on our classic editor, but I'm not sure what our plans are for re-implementing that. As far as an auto log out, there is you saw the kind of that was a token expiration. That generally doesn't happen. It's just that it caught me on a bad time just because the tokens they don't get generated every time you log in. But it was just today was the day that it expired, I guess. So generally they are generated every 30 days, I believe. But um, there's been times where I've been logged in for days and days, and it's never asked me to log out. So I think I just got unlucky on this. Of course, on the webinar, the one day when I don't want it to happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, to answer the question, I guess just there's not currently an auto or a reminder, login reminder. But I'll definitely bring that up with the team, and I think that's something we should definitely implement because we used to have that. So.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And is it possible to have a 3D image from satellite scanning rather than just a 2D, which would be not currently?
Yeah, not currently. Yeah, there's no way to. Yeah, the satellite images is just it's just a flat kind of image from the satellite. It doesn't have the that 3D integration that you see on Google Maps currently. It would be awesome to have in the future, but we don't have currently any plans for that.
Awesome. And then Ginger is asking about shading an area for multiple rooms within a zone. I think they're just referring to like, adding shading to a specific spot, like with the
Yeah,
arrow windows.
there is a way to do that. So you can do like a square. So if I wanted to have it be, you have just these colors right now. I can choose it to be a solid fill. Maybe I want it to be green, shade in this conference area, and then I can change the opacity to be see through. That is one way to do that. I have seen lots of people use that, and then they'll go in with the tool and just say like area one, something like that, with the text tool, um, and you can change the opacity and make that black. So something like that is definitely possible to do with the drawing tools.
Awesome.
All right, I'll go ahead
Okay.
and unless we have any other questions, I can switch back over to the.
Yeah, I'm typing up some answers as well. We did get a lot of questions this round. I know we're coming up to the end of the hour here, but I think we can if you're all right with it, we can get just like maybe two more if that
Okay,
works.
yeah, sure.
Let's see. Is there an in-depth reporting training slash webinar that we offer, like besides this new user webinar?
That is a good thought, and I will definitely take that to our team. We don't have one that is current with our new reporting, so we just kind of flushed that out with that photo tour. We kind of just added that, so that would be a good thing to have, is we can have a specific webinar. So we have done those in the past, but it's on our classic reporting, so that's a good thought. I'll definitely keep everybody posted and keep an eye out on with email alerts because we might have that in the future.
Awesome. And I think that about wraps it up on questions.
All right, I'll go ahead. Let me switch back over to our quickly the webinar PowerPoint here. Okay, we can go over here to one thing I want to highlight is a very useful resource as our Help Center on our website. In the top, you can click on Help Center and then Help Center again. And that is going to be a bunch of articles that we've written up. Michael's done an awesome job as with creating videos for almost all of these articles. So they are a really helpful resource if you need just a quick reminder or something like that, or you want to have some additional training maybe on some things that we didn't cover in the new user webinar. I would definitely recommend checking out the Help Center. The search is very robust with we just upgraded this basically. So now the search is a lot more helpful than ever before. So I would definitely recommend checking that out if you have other questions. On our website, we have our manufacturer partners here. So if you click on partners and then available manufacturer catalog, you'll have this entire list of all of our manufacturer partners. We are manufacturer agnostic, so we don't favor any particular partner over any other ones. So, we're always looking for new ones. So if you have any contacts or people that you want to see in here, drop them a line, and they can actually go and join the program here. We'll reach out to them, and essentially they add all of their Excel spreadsheets to a shared drive, G drive, something like that, and then you just download and import them. There is a video on how to do that on that page specifically as well. And last but not least, if you have any other questions, always we're happy to help. On support, we have our chat bubble in the bottom left, which goes right to our team here. And you can also email us or call us with this support number, or support@systemsurveyor.com. And if you're interested in scheduling a demo with our sales team, you can reach out to sales@systemsurveyor.com. And as we wrap up, just want to remind everybody too, we always get questions. This is recorded and it will be sent out after the fact. So be on the lookout for that recording. But anyways, thanks everybody. Thank you so much, Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, and thanks everyone for joining.